Who Put Bella in the Wych Elm is a graffito that appeared in 1944 following the 1943 discovery by 4 teenagers of the skeletonized remains of a woman inside a wych elm in Worcestershire, England. The phrase or a variant with the preposition down and the spelling witch is also used to refer to the unsolved case of the circumstances of her death. The woman whose death is estimated to have occurred in 1941 remains unidentified, and the current location of her skeleton and autopsy report is unknown. The mystery has been the subject of many media articles and films, as well as dramas, an opera, and a musical. On the 18th of April 1943, 4 local boys, Robert Hart, Thomas Willits, Bob Farmer, and Fred Payne, were poaching or bird nesting in Hagley Wood, part of the Hagley estate belonging to Lord Cobham near Wychbury Hill, when they came across a large wych elm. Thinking the location to be a particularly good place to search for birds' nests, Farmer attempted to climb the tree to investigate. As he climbed, he glanced down into the hollow trunk and discovered a skull. At first, he believed it to be that of an animal, but after seeing human hair and teeth, he realised that he had found a human skull. As they were on the land illegally, Farmer put the skull back, and all 4 boys returned home without mentioning their discovery to anybody. However, on returning home, the eldest of the boys, Willits, felt uneasy about what he had witnessed and decided to report the find to his parents. When police checked the trunk of the tree, they found an almost complete skeleton with a shoe, a gold wedding ring, and some fragments of clothing. The skull was valuable evidence in that it still had some tufts of hair and had a clear dental pattern despite missing some teeth. After further investigation, the remains of a hand were found some distance from the tree. The body was sent for forensic examination by the Birmingham-based Home Office pathologist James Webster. He quickly established that it was that of a female who had been dead for at least 18 months, placing time of death in or before 1941. Webster also discovered a section of taffeta in her mouth, suggesting that she had died from suffocation. From the measurement of the trunk in which the body had been discovered, he also deduced that it must have been placed there still warm after the killing, as it could not have fit once rigor mortis had taken hold. Police could tell from items found with the body what the woman had looked like, but with so many people reported missing during the Second World War, records were too numerous for a proper identification to take place. They cross-referenced the details they had with reports of missing persons throughout the region, but none of them seemed to match the evidence. In addition, they contacted dentists in the area since dentistry was quite distinctive. A case review by the West Mercia Police was closed in 2014. A 2018 episode of the television programme Nazi Murder Mysteries described a forensic facial reconstruction undertaken by the Liverpool John Moores University Face Lab from photographs of the skull. It was commissioned by Andrew Spark for his books on the incident. In May 2023, the BBC launched an appeal to museums to track down the victims' remains with the intention of carrying out DNA analysis. The remains had, until the late 1960s or early 1970s, been in the Birmingham City Police's Black Museum at their Tally Ho training centre. The appeal was made in conjunction with the BBC podcast on the case, The Body in the Tree. In a Radio 4 programme first broadcast in August 2014, Steve Punt suggested 2 possible victims. One possible victim was reported to the police in 1944 by a Birmingham sex worker. In the report, she stated that another sex worker called Bella, who worked on the Hagley Road, had disappeared about 3 years previously. The name Bella, or Lou Bella, suggested the graffiti writer was probably aware of the identity of the victim. A second possibility came from a statement made to police in 1953 by Una Mossop, in which she said that her ex-husband, Jack Mossop, had confessed to family members that he and a Dutchman called Van Ralt had put the woman in the tree. Mossop and Van Ralt met for a drink at the Littleton Arms, that was a pub in Hagley. Later that night, Mossop said the woman became drunk and passed out while they were driving. The men put her in a hollow tree in the woods in the hope that in the morning she would wake up and be frightened into seeing the error of her ways. Jack Mossop was confined to a Stafford mental hospital because he had recurring dreams of a woman staring out at him from a tree. He died in the hospital before the body in the Wych Elm was found. The likelihood of this being the correct explanation is questioned because Una Mossop did not come forward with this information until more than 10 years after Jack Mossop's death. Another theory comes from an MI5 declassified file about Joseph Jacobs, the last man to be put to death in the Tower of London on the 15th of August 1941. An Albury agent, he parachuted into Cambridgeshire in 1941 but broke his ankle when landing and was soon arrested by the Home Guard. On his person was found a photo purportedly of his lover, a German cabaret singer and actress named Clara Barley. Jacob said that she was being trained as a spy and that had he made contact, she might have been sent over to England after him. However, there is no evidence that Clara Barley was parachuted into England, and several witnesses described that Clara Barley was around 6 foot tall, while Bella was 5 feet. In September 2016, it was determined that Clara Barley had died in Berlin on the 16th of December 1942. In 1945, Margaret Murray, an anthropologist and archaeologist at the University College London, proposed a more radical theory, witchcraft, because she believed that the severing of one hand was consistent with a ritual called the Hand of Glory after the victim had been killed by Romani people during an occult ritual. Her ideas excited the local press and led investigators to consider another seemingly ritualistic killing of a man, Charles Walton, in nearby Lower Quinton. In 1953, another theory surfaced, namely that the victim was a Dutch woman named Clarabella Dronkers, and that she'd been killed by a German spy ring consisting of a British officer, a Dutchman, and a music hall artist for knowing too much. Available records and evidence were unable to support the story. In 1944, graffiti related to the mystery appeared on a wall in Upper Dean Street, Birmingham, reading "Who put Bella down the Wych Elm, Hagley Wood?" This provided investigators with several new leads for tracing who the victim could have been. Other messages in the same hand appeared too. Since at least the 1970s, similar graffiti has sporadically appeared on the Hagley obelisk near where the woman's body was discovered, which asks the slightly modified "Who put Bella in the Wych Elm?" WITCH.
If you like that, then check out our Patreon, where for just $5 a month you get access to exclusive shows like Real Monsters and Playing with Bones with Amy Rose, along with early access to all our minisodes and ad-free access to the Weekend Update and It's Alive! Not convinced yet? Well, head on over now and have 7 days on us. That's a 7-day free trial for all new members. That's It's Alive Pod on Patreon. It's Alive! All the guts and go with none of the guilt. See you on Wednesdays, unless you're on Patreon when you get us all week long.